In the late 1970s, fear spread quietly through parts of the United States as a series of disappearances began to form. A disturbing pattern. At first, the cases seemed unrelated, different locations. Different victims, no obvious connection. But over time, investigators started to notice similarities that couldn't be ignored. Young women were going missing. Many of them were last seen in public places, college campuses, busy streets, or walking alone at night. There were rarely any witnesses, and almost never any immediate evidence pointing to what had happened. It was as if these individuals had simply vanished into thin air. Behind these disappearances was a man who, to most people, appeared completely normal. He was described as polite, intelligent, and well-spoken. He could hold conversations easily and gain trust quickly. Nothing about him raised suspicion at first glance. That was part of what made the situation so dangerous. He used deception rather than force. Sometimes he pretended to need help wearing a cast or asking for assistance with carrying something. Other times, he approached people in a friendly, non-threatening way, creating a sense of safety before anything felt wrong as reports of missing persons increased. Authorities began to suspect that a single individual might be responsible. The similarities in the cases became harder to dismiss, but without solid evidence, it was difficult to track him down. What made the situation even more unsettling was how calculated everything seemed. The locations where people were last seen were often crowded enough to provide cover, yet not so crowded that anyone would notice something unusual. The timing was precise. The approach was controlled. Eventually, witnesses began to come forward with small but important details. A man matching a certain description had been seen talking to victims shortly before they disappeared. Some remembered his calm demeanor. Sketches were created and warnings were issued. But by then, the pattern had already continued for some time. Fear began to spread more openly. People changed their routines. They avoided walking alone. They became more cautious of strangers, even those who seemed harmless. The investigation grew larger. Involving multiple regions and agencies, detectives worked to connect the dots, comparing reports. Then a major break came during a routine traffic stop. A man was pulled over late at night under suspicious circumstances. At first, it seemed like a minor incident, but something about his behavior raised concerns. When officers searched his vehicle, they found items that didn't belong to checks that suggested something far more serious was happening. He was taken into custody, and as investigators began to question him, the truth slowly started to unfold. He had been responsible for multiple disappearances across different areas. The calm, ordinary appearance he presented to the world had allowed him to operate without suspicion. As the case developed, more evidence came to light, connecting him to numerous victims. Each piece of information added to the understanding of how he had managed to avoid detection. The trial that followed drew massive attention. People were shocked that someone who seemed so ordinary could be behind such disturbing actions. The contrast between his public image and the reality of his crimes made the case even more difficult to comprehend. In the end, he was held accountable for his actions. But the impact of what had happened didn't disappear. Families of the victims were left searching for closure. This case changed the way people thought about safety. It showed that danger doesn't always look obvious. Sometimes it hides behind a friendly face. Even today, the story serves as a reminder not every threat announces itself, and sometimes the most dangerous individuals are the ones no one suspects.